Hello, this is David Jones, and I'm from Pointy, and we're going to do a teardown today to have a look at Airbnb and see how they treat user onboarding. With me is Melanie Francis. Melanie, what are you up to?
Hi. Well, I'm here with you, and I guess a bit about me is that I run a digital agency. We help people with UI, UX, web design, web development, all the way through to marketing strategy and scale up. So, looking forward to us talking about this onboarding experience, which is one of my favorite go to experiences, and point out what they've done really well, they could potentially improve, which is not a whole lot, I bet, but it'll be interesting anyway.
They've probably figured out a lot by now, and I may have recorded just one sort of A/B. They might have multiple A/B tests running. I don't know. So we'll just be looking at least what I saw. So, but yeah, you can imagine by this stage they've got it pretty well bedded down. So what we're going to do is run through the recording and start and stop it as needed. So let's take it from there. Here we are. This is the front page that you get. So you can actually start and actually go and do a search straight away, or you could actually log in. So there's an interesting thing for me in terms of instant gratification for the user, which is that I can go and actually search on properties and stuff like that without having to create an account. So that's pretty interesting on that side of it. And now what I've done here is clicked on the link to actually go ahead and log in. So that's the process here. Naturally, we've got OAuth type stuff, so log in with Facebook, single sign-on, so that's pretty cool. All right, so standard sort of fill-in box. Is there anything you want to say about this, Mela?
Well, I think from a user experience perspective, no user would probably go and sign up until they had that first experience. So the thing that you pointed out is, I think, so essential with what Airbnb's done is before you can actually sign up, they actually enable you to experience their platform. And I think that is so key for user experience, is not to just force people to get information first, because you kind of feel uncomfortable, right? Oh, they're forcing this. From this sign up perspective, they've got Facebook and Google API, which is fantastic. So you can just do the one-click touch if you don't feel comfortable going through this whole process of sharing all your data. So I really like the API, and I think that's really key to top user experience.
With your customers, do you tend to find that adding that actually increases uptake on registrations and login?
Yeah. I think when people expect these days seeing Facebook, Google, people also are now, it depends on your platform, what API that you want to integrate to, because it depends on your user. Where are they most likely to, want to, like, if it's a HR app, you would be using LinkedIn API to connect them into that. So you've really got to think about which API is relevant. I really like, if Airbnb wanted, they could have every API there, not just Facebook and Google. They could be integrating with every API that's out there, including LinkedIn and said, but they've kept it really simple and not confused, or what do I do? They've just given you the two options. So I think that's fantastic. What I really love about this screen is the icons over here to your right, David, how you filled it in, that it's got the two-person next to your name. David,
right.
Jones.
So these things here,
Yeah, and at the top it's an email. I think that is top UI and top UX, because if from my perspective, I know what that icon means. I've been programmed for a long time to know, so I didn't have to read any text, making it much more friendly in terms of the onboarding experience.
Got it. Okay, yeah, and they do provide the little eyelid thing here as well too, to actually see your password. So.
Yes, exactly. Very, very cool. Here also the birth date. You'll notice how they've presented it. There's many ways to enable birthdays, but they've enabled a drop down. So I wonder why they've done a drop down and not a actual calendar where you press into the calendar and you just kind of have the drop down in there. So it's interesting. How did you find that experience, the birth date, like entering that? Was that?
Yeah, well, I know that because I'm very old. That ultimately with calendar drop downs, I can find that I'm clicking, many times to get back through that if they don't have a really good annual navigator. Where this is actually really quick, you can kind of go through that straight
Are
away.
you able to enter the text there?
No, this is a video, so I'm too late to do it now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I'm just pausing the video.
Okay.
But why do you think that? I mean, I know that they want to actually get your identity stuff here, but it's interesting they throw this right up front. Have you got any perspective on that at all?
Well, because you need to be greater than 18 to be able to use Airbnb. So what I love is they've actually explained why they're actually getting that, and they've actually given you confirmation that people that use Airbnb won't actually get your birth date. It's just for their compliance purpose that they need you to sign on.
Yeah, they've obviously figured out that people balk at it because they're concerned about, basically personally identifiable information, stuff like that. I always balk at that particular stuff just because I come from the security background. So
Yes.
It seemed like an unnecessary thing, but anyway.
They did, and I don't think they had it when you think about 10 years ago, but, Airbnb has had a lot of compliance issues thrown at it by government, and a lot of people not happy in how they've disrupted the market.
Yep.
So they've had to put in additional fields to probably satisfy the whole compliance that they've got in housing and what they're doing in the market. So they've probably had to put that in,
All right, very good. So let's crack on then. Let's continue the video and just yell out if you want me to stop something. Okay, so here I am here. I'm now presented with a modal, so I can't do anything else other than that. So I kind of like these kind of flows from an onboarding perspective in terms of, you've got to keep people from sort of, wandering off the path. So this is obviously something they feel is important.
Yeah.
So
you've got to accept, or decline. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, some interesting sort of aspects. A lot of applications wouldn't have sort of like an explanation about their mission, safety.
No. So, this is really good. As
you said, they've probably been hit with a lot of compliance type things over the years, or some controversies. So this is one of the ways of dealing with that, I guess.
From a UX UI perspective, usually with I accept terms and description is a little checkbox, but you can see that Airbnb has now moved to very clearly, saying accept or decline, having it as a stop and think, like they've got its own actual page just to get you to go, here is all our laws or whatever. That's really interesting because it's a movement away from that little I accept and move on the tick box. So
okay, that's good. So tick boxes versus basically accept, decline is much more imperative, isn't it? All right, so let's move on. As he accepts it and moves on to the next thing. Okay, so it's telling me I've got 4 steps next here. Yeah.
Beautifully presented, easy.
Looks gorgeous.
Only 4 steps.
It's interesting, the framing of it too. It kind of looks like an old Polaroid photo as well too, with the white frame on the outside. I'm not quite sure if that's deliberate.
Yeah, but they're really trying to say it's a community. It's really, the picture's being chosen to get people to go family environment. Yep.
All right, adding a photo, pretty standard sort of thing for many social networks, but I guess it really helps here in terms of identity and trust and stuff like that.
But it's nice that they've said, I'll do this later as well, just in the text here to make you really go through the journey quick. And I think that is top experience right there.
Yeah, there should always be some sort of escape clause if it's not an absolute imperative thing, that sort of thing. And it's interesting too with the Facebook photo, at least that's again, removing that friction point of having to go and dig out a profile photo.
Even though, exactly. So again, if you didn't do the API login, they're giving you another opportunity to connect into API again here. So nicely done.
Okay, cool. All right. And we can
even the little dot points at the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, again, reconfirming this is only 1 step, kind of making you feel, there's only 3 more steps to go. And it's so easy, the first step.
Yeah, very reinforcing, isn't it? It was the last teardown I did with Monday. They had this progressive disclosure thing, and it just every time you filled out a form, they gave you like an extra field to do. So you always felt as though the journey was getting longer for every step you did. Didn't feel as like you were getting rewarded. So this is much nicer in terms of being transparent about it. So here we go. You get my ugly mug on here. There he is, and get out of there pretty quick. Right. So now what we're doing is we're doing phone stuff. So this is interesting. Why are they doing this as a critical part of the whole process of being involved?
Yeah, well, I think they want your phone to verify you as a real person, because for them it's really important that they get real people on here and we don't have, you know, any dodginess or anything like that, because so okay.
Yeah, so from my threat metrics days, basically the people who create fake accounts and stuff like that, maybe once a social network gets to, or some sort of platform marketplace gets to be really valuable, then you get the scammers come in and you've got to actually up your...
But if you also think about why the mobile is so important, and this is something 10 years ago when they started and I was one of the hosts and I was a user of it, I remember I'd booked in for a accommodation in Hobart, and this information wasn't given out by Airbnb, and there I was in Hobart hoping that someone would email me back, and I just didn't have confidence that what if they don't, you know, how do I contact them? I'm now in Hobart, and this information has to be given they have to be able to give this information up front so people can easily get in contact. And that's why I think they're now doing this really nice onboarding to get those critical information, because you're going to have people staying and we don't want any confusion when you come to a foreign land or foreign countries often and you can't get in contact. So I think it's critical for them, and they figure that out much later.
Yeah, I kind of feel, you know, whenever I use it, you know, say I'm in Italy and you kind of, you know, you've got your local 4G card or whatever, so you're up and running with your data. And then what they tend to do is, well, at least maybe they did do it, maybe they still do it, was push notification, SMS and email. They try and hit you when it's around that transactional stuff of meeting the host or whatever. It's like they don't leave it to chance. They actually make sure that you get it on each of these channels, which I think people will appreciate it more than hate it in that transactional sense. And so that's kind of...
Again, on this, I really love the icon use, which I pointed out to you before. But again, the icon, I know what I need to do. I know that it's an email thing, and I really encourage people to use that whenever I'm designing. It just makes it so much easier to know what I've got to do.
Subtle,
what it's about.
Subtle reinforcing type thing. All right, so off we go. I think I had a bit of confusion. I went out and did the validation from the emails, and so that's not in the recording. Okay. All right, so there we are. So we've gone through that particular flow. I'm now a legitimate user. You can see my icon in the top right-hand side, and now I can get on with actually doing my search and presumably actually do a booking at that particular stage. So yeah, so that was interesting. So there's a couple of painful points in there, but as you said, they are tied into the actual mission of being able to actually ultimately book something. So that's kind of interesting on that. So
I think because you do this bit already, right? I think at that point when you're going to sign up, they probably pretty much need that, because when you're going to sign up is probably when you're ready to make that booking. So those information become critical for them to get that information and supply it to that end person that you're booking with, the host.
Yep. Okay. All right. So I think that's all we had on that. Do you want to jump straight on to the host part as well too? All right. So let's